Welcome back, SethBling here. Today I want to show you my personal best in the Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island Credits Warp speedrun category. This was the sequel to Super Mario World, the game that I play all the time on my YouTube and Twitch channels. Different game, a whole different engine, everything is different. The Credits Warp, though, is not super different. So this is not something I discovered. This was originally discovered by Arn the Great about 4 years ago. It's not a new route or anything, but I am new to the category. I'm new to the route. I'm just still learning it. There is in the video description, if you do want to see my notes for the route, I have sort of like a beginner's route that I've been working on using the documentation that exists and tutorials that exist and kind of adding my own things to help improve with consistency or that sort of thing. The first bit of the run is getting a bunch of eggs following Yoshi. So in this game, Yoshi can collect eggs and then throw them, and throwing eggs is going to be an important part of how the whole glitch works. So there I collect 6 eggs. I have to rearrange the eggs in my inventory, and then the next part is all about sprite management. I need to make sure that a bunch of sprites load on screen at a time so that certain sprites will load into certain sprite slots. Sprites, of course, are just moving things like that cloud you can see on screen, that box, the Shy Guy or the Daisy flower. All these things are sprites. So then I need to, once I have the right sprites in eggs that Yoshi has behind him, I need to throw the eggs so that they despawn at a certain, not only X coordinate, like pixel perfect X coordinate, but actually a certain subpixel. And it turns out that there's a setup for all of these things, getting the right subpixel and everything. So it's actually relatively quick. There's 4 eggs in total. This is analogous to how we used to do the credits warp in Super Mario World using the red shells, where you would spit fire for red shells, and where you would spit them had to be pixel perfect. And it set up a bunch of code in the sprite X coordinate table. Same thing here. We're setting up a bunch of code in the sprite X coordinate table. This stock thing, by the way, that I just did, very slow. There's a way to skip that, and I'm going to be learning that as I improve in the category. But here's the 4th throw. Again, I have to have that egg despawn as pixel perfect and subpixel perfect X coordinate. So there I've done all 4 egg throws. Now there's some code set up in the sprite X coordinate table that if it gets run as code, it will cause the game to move into credits mode. It'll set the game mode into credits mode. So in the first level, we set up the code, and then the second level, we do a glitch that will actually trigger that code. So this glitch is called the tongue glitch, very creatively named because it involves the tongue. So the general way that works is you get Yoshi into a state where his tongue retracts infinitely. And as the tongue retracts more and more into negative infinity, here you can just see the glitch. So the glitch has now started. There was, for a brief moment, there was a tongue beneath Yoshi, but the tongue is now retracting more and more to negative infinity. Actually, that just reset the tongue. But anyway, it's retracting more and more to negative infinity. As it does that, it tries to draw more and more tongue tiles onto the screen. You don't see any of them, but as it gets longer and longer, it's trying to draw more and more tongue tiles onto the screen. And eventually, it runs out of places that it can write tongue tiles, and it just keeps on writing outside of the part of memory where the tongue visual tiles are stored. And so it keeps writing out of bounds. And so it overwrites a bunch of memory. That's why all the sprites disappear. That's why some weird things happen with the camera. But it keeps overwriting more and more memory until it gets to a place where Baby Mario's status is stored. And if when you overwrite Baby Mario's status, it causes the game to basically jump to a location dependent on what his status is. So you overwrite Baby Mario's status, and the game starts running code from somewhere it's not supposed to. In this case, we get it to run code essentially from the sprite X coordinate table. So it runs that code that says put the game in credits mode, and then it keeps running the game, and the game keeps running in credits mode. So again, that's actually very similar to how the Super Mario World 1 credits warp works. It's just a totally different trigger for the glitch, and it's a very different setup for the sprite X coordinate table, because the sprite X coordinate table is structured differently. It has subpixels and pixels and actually the screen all in the same table, all right next to each other, whereas Super Mario World only has the pixel byte stored in that table. But Overall, kind of similar, but also pretty different. It's a cool glitch. I want to keep working on it. I want to get a better time. Like I said, that stalk part where I climb that stalk is super slow. There's a way to skip that whole part. You save a lot of time. I also want to get it more consistent. I'm considering doing this speedrun as part of a speedrun medley involving some other credits warps and some other non-credits warps. And so I want to get everything very, very consistent. In the stream that I just did where I got this personal best, I only had about 5 warps out of like 60 runs or something. So not too consistent yet, but I'll get there. Actually, I think it was more than 60 runs. Anyway, hopefully I'll get there. The world record in this is about 229 by Poor. I think I have that right. Anyway, you can look it up on the leaderboard, which I've linked in the video description. But it's a cool run, and I wanna keep improving it. But in the meantime, I thought I would just post my personal best that I got in the stream today. That's about it. Thanks for watching.